Hey guys, it's me, Mario, and today we're going to be reading the last chapter of Quest ZAPHA, the Monster Squid. How you guys doing today? Hope you're doing well. Living life to the fullest? Hopefully. Alright. Chapter 10. Victory. Suddenly, the water swirled as Elena swam in front of Tom. His sword gripped in one hand, her knife in the other. Fearlessly, she plunged down and forced the sword into Zapha's open mouth. Jamming the beak open, the squid's bulging eyes flared with anger. He released his grip on Tom and flung all his tentacles all at Elena. Why am I so sweaty? More bubbles escaped from her mouth as she gasped in alarm. She turned and swam rapidly away. Tom knew he hadn't much time. The sword wouldn't keep Zapha back for long, and he couldn't hold his breath for much longer. He had to find the helmet, but in the battle with the squid, he had lost his sense of direction. He peered down through the gloom, but he couldn't see the tall tail glint of gold. Telltale glint of gold. To his relief, Sepron came gliding through the greenish darkness. Tom could tell he had recovered his sight. His eyes glared with anger, and he was heading straight for Zapha. He swooped down and wrapped his rainbow-colored coils around the squid. He twisted to and fro so that Zapha couldn't squirt ink into his face again, or grip him with his tentacles. Serpron clutched the giant squid tighter and tighter with his coils. Tom could hardly believe that what he was seeing. It looked as if the sea serpent was squeezing the life out of Zapha. Astonished, Tom watched as the edges of Zapha started to blur. He looked around for Elena, who had reappeared, and pointed frantically. Something was wrong. Something was happening. Rippling movements came from beneath Zapha's skin as the evil beast writhed in agony. Suddenly, the monster squid's 3 pulsing red hearts shattered into tiny glittering pieces. Too many for come to count, and his skin burst open, tearing cruelly. Tom struggled not to gasp under water as thousands of tiny squid shot out, swimming as if they feared for their lives. Zepha's empty, papery skin began to sink slowly down into the gloom, towards the seabed. He was no more. Elena grabbed Tom's sword before it could fall out of sight again. Tom swam after her, gazing around for a glimpse of the helmet. Then he spotted its golden gleam. But exhaustion made his limbs heavy. He had no air left. His lungs were screaming for pain. Elena must be feeling the same. Were they going to die after all? Then Tom caught sight of Sepron swimming towards them. The sea serpent dived underneath them and rose slowly upwards, so that Tom and Elena could cling to his scaly neck as he headed for the surface. Tom hugged Sepron for relief. But need to drink real quick? No. Where's my drink? Ah, here it is. Lost my drink. Found it though. It's back there. How y'all doing? Citizens made his limbs heavy. Sea serpent dived beneath them and rose slowly towards upwards, so that Tom and Elena could cling to his scaly neck as he headed for the surface. Tom hugged Sepron for relief. As they passed the coral spire where the golden helmet rested, Tom reached out and grasped it by the hooked beak. Sepron's neck rose out of the water just beside the boat. Tom and Elena clung on for a moment more, gasping air into their tortured lungs. Silver sprung up and rested his front paws on the side of the boat, letting out an astonished yelp. Then the sea serpent lowered his neck. Tom and Elena gently rolled off into the bottom of the boat. Silver pushed up close to Elena, nosing her. She rolled onto her back and allowed the wolf to lick her face. Her chest rose and fell as she gasped for air. Then she reached out a hand to ruffle Silver's fur. She was all right. Thank you, Sepron, Tom panted, reaching up to pat the serpent's gleaming scales. We couldn't have done it without you. Sepron bowed his head and gave each of them a friendly nudge with his nose before sinking back beneath the waves again. Tom caught a last glimpse of his rainbow curls as he swam away into the open sea. He felt warmed by the thought that the beast who had once been his foe had saved their lives. "Well," he said with an exhausted sigh, "we've got the helmet. Why don't you try it on?" Helena asked, clinging to her feet. Climbing to her feet. Tom hesitated for a moment, turning the helmet over between his hands. The gold shone brightly, and he could see how skillfully the helmet was crafted from the time he had spent working in his uncle's forge. Could it really be for him? Was he worthy of wearing the helmet that once belonged to the master of the beasts of Aventia? "Go on," Helena urged him. Tom raised the helmet and put it on his head. Instantly, he felt it shrink to fit him. He gasped. His eyesight had suddenly grown stronger. He could see the people on the shoreline. Colm's father was mending a fishing net, and Lyndon was squatting by the fire, drinking something from a bowl. Further away from the sea, Colin was leading Storm along the edge of the trees. Tom could even see the whites of the stallion's eyes as he paced up and down. "This is amazing," he exclaimed. "I can see everything. I just wish my father Teledon could see me." "He'd be so proud of you," Elena told him. Tom and Elena hugged each other. Triumph bubbled up inside Tom. The first part of his new quest was over. He had retrieved the helmet, and now he was determined that it wouldn't be long before he found the other 5 parts of the armor, too. That broke again. My mouth is very dry today. "We've only just started," he said to Elena. "I'm not giving up until I have every piece of the golden armor." Elena smiled in agreement. "Let's get back to the shore," she said gently. She pulled up the sail and began to guide the boat towards the beach. They were halfway back when a familiar blue glow began to appear before them. An elder seemed to stand on the waves. But this time he was not alone. Standing behind him was Melville, who held a slim jeweled dagger to the wizard's neck. Eldor's face was set hard, as if he was refusing to show fear. Tom couldn't understand what he was seeing. "Get away from him!" he shouted at Melville. The dark wizard smiled. So you have the golden helmet," he sneered. "But I don't suppose you feel quite so pleased with yourself now, do you?" I don't believe this, Tom cried. It's just an illusion. You could never take Eldero's prisoner. Why did I make that an S instead of a P? You haven't the power. You haven't the power. I'm afraid I do. Melville dug the point of the dagger into Melville's neck. Tell them, fool. This is a true vision, Wizard Elderos said reluctantly. Perhaps I was foolish and didn't guard myself well enough. I am Melville's prisoner. I'll free you. I'll free you, Tom said defiantly. Melville's cruel laughter sounded. You can try. Tom reached out to Eldero, but his hand passed through air. Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. You can free me, Wizard Eldero said, but first you must find the full suit of armor. It is the only way. That will never happen, Melville interrupted, the dagger digging into the good wizard's neck. You failed next test, Tom. When you have to face my second evil beast, Claw. We'll do it, Tom vowed. We'll free Eldero and destroy you once and for all. I can hold out against him, Eldero insisted, though his face was pale. But you must complete the quest. Melville's laughter rang out again as the vision faded. Tom and Elena exchanged a horrified glance. All Tom's sense of triumph had vanished. He could only think about Eldero in the clutches of Melville. As they beached the boat, Colum came up to them, leading the storm. Tom had been wondering how to explain to Lyndon why they had taken his boat without permission. But thankfully the fisherman was nowhere in sight. Tom climbed out of the boat and took the stallion's reins, stroking his nose. Thanks, he said to Colum, glancing out to sea again. He added, I don't think you'll have any more trouble. I don't think you have any more trouble. Colum met his gaze steadily. I won't ask questions, he said. You saved us once before, and that's good enough for me. He bent to give Silver a pat. You're welcome to come and stay with my family if you want. Thank you, but we can't, Tom said regretfully. We have other duties. I understand, said Colum, but I hope you'll come back when you can. You'll always find friends here. Taking up his sword and shield, Tom climbed into Storm's saddle, with Elena behind him. Farewell, Elena called. Farewell and good luck, Colum replied. With a last wave, Tom and Elena headed up the beach to find the road that led back inland that led back inland. Tam felt as if a huge weight was pressing upon him. "This is our most important quest yet," he said. "I know." Helena tightened her arms around his waist. "This time we've got to succeed." Tom nodded. She was right. The quest wasn't about his need to prove himself. Not anymore. It wasn't even about the magical golden armor. It was about rescuing Eldorado. Could they do it? "While there is blood in my veins," Tom swore, "I'll never give up." And that was chapter 10. I forgot about the kidnapping of Eldorado. I forgot about that. How did I forget about that? But, well, I hope you guys... Oh, I almost forgot to show you the pictures. Pictures of chapter 10. Here is Sapron fighting Zapha. Excuse me. Here are Tom and Elena being rescued by Zapha before they, drown to death. That's a thing. And here are them in the focus. Why aren't you focusing? Here are them on the boat, about to head to the shore. And there isn't a picture of Melville and Eldorado's visitor, so. Well, I forgot about the kidnapping of Eldorado. Oh well. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my last chapter of Zapha, the monster squid. And I hope I can see you guys with, what is it? Claw, the monkey? Claw, the giant monkey. That's the next book in this journey of Beast Quest. And I hope I will see you in the next one. Alright. Hope you guys subscribe, like, hit the bell, all that good stuff. All the good stuff. And I hope to see you again. Maybe on the Great Dragon Book or another Beast Quest. Next week is Claw, the giant monkey. It isn't a monkey, or an ape. It has a tail, so I guess it's a monkey. Claw has a giant spike tail, so I guess it's a monkey, so Claw the giant monkey. Well, I hope you guys enjoy my videos. Subscribe, hit the bell, all the stuff I already said in this video, so bye bye. I always know when you guys are not subscribed, so please do. I don't really need more subscribers, but yeah. Oh well. Bye bye. Check out my Great Dragon book as well if you want to. And my DeviantArt, Dragon Master Mario. And my Twitch and Twitter, Mario Herline. Bye bye. I never know how to end these videos, so bye. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop.